red zone touchdown.
Throw down to second in time.
Staten on the run, and he jams it home.
Whoever comes home, they got him.
What tough shot. And there's McLemore.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Big 12 Report, presented as always by Dr. Pepper. I'm Wendell Barnhouse, Big12Sports.com correspondent, alongside co-host Carter Babb, who this week is going to start off the show by entertaining us with an imitation of film critic Roger Ebert, right?
That's right. Our feature story this week features a film being shot that takes a look back at an important moment in the history of Kansas basketball and how one of the stars in the film is actually a current player for the Jayhawks.
Kansas basketball is known for its history, tradition, and success. And stories about the Jayhawks are well known around college basketball. But a film is being made about a story few people know about, starring a current Kansas player who is portraying a KU legend. Legendary Kansas coach Phog Allen learned the game from the game's inventor, James Naismith. The movie Jayhawkers tells the story of Allen bringing Wilt Chamberlain from Philadelphia to Kansas, and how it not only revolutionized the game of college basketball, it had a social impact on the city of Lawrence.
Well, there's definitely parts of the story that people are not nearly as familiar with about. It's really Phog Allen's story, and the story begins with him being coached by James Naismith in 1907. Phog's a player for Naismith, and Naismith doesn't really believe in coaching basketball. And they have a conflict about it, and then we cut to years later, and now Phog is in his, he's about to be 70, and he's this legendary coach, really the first real basketball coach. And he hears from one of his former players about this amazing athlete, Wilt Chamberlain.
At first, when Coach came to me about it, you know, he was real brief with it, and it's kind of like, hey, they're doing a movie on Wilt Chamberlain, and they asked me if I knew anybody, and I thought of you. Do you want to do it? And I was kind of like, I guess so. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but, you know, I figured, you know, why not? You know, why not portray one of the greatest players to ever play the game of basketball?
Let me tell you, I think people are going to be greatly surprised at how good he is in the film. I mean, he's a real actor, and he took it very seriously. It wasn't one of these, I'm an athlete and I'll just kind of walk through this kind of deals.
It was a lot of fun. It wasn't really difficult at all. The directors kind of gave me what they wanted to get out of the scene, and you know, I would read the script and then kind of see what kind of feel of the scene was, and then most of the time I didn't even memorize my lines. I would just read it through and then kind of, you know, put it into my own words, and it just happened to work out, and they were pleased with it.
Chamberlain was 7'1". Wesley, a senior, is listed at 6'9". No computer-generated images are involved, just some movie magic.
I knew they were going to have to find people a lot smaller than me, but that's the movie biz. Somehow, some way, they make me see him a lot bigger than what I am.
And he's got the body type of Wilt. You know, he's not crazy muscular, but lean and real muscular. But more importantly, his face looks like Wilt, you know, and we cut his hair like Wilt. And he had a little mustache, you know, like Wilt had. And we put him on an apple crate a couple times, you know, to pump him up a little bit. And then we shot him at certain angles. More than anything, I think he's Wilt Chamberlain.
Everybody was calling me Wilt on campus, but it really hit me when I met Phog Allen's grandchildren. And they were like, wow, you know, besides the height, you look just like him. You look just like him. So I think when I see it, it will finally hit me like, wow, I really did a movie. You know, I'm excited to see it. Hope it turns out great. Hope people like it. And, you know, hopefully, you know, it may be another door for me to go through in, you know, another career.
Well, in keeping with our film critic theme here, I think we'll have to give that film a 2 thumbs up, or maybe A 4 thumbs up.
I think so.
That's right. Well, speaking of Kansas, Wendell, you were in Manhattan on Tuesday night for a first-place showdown between the Jayhawks and Kansas State.
That's right, Carter. And I think this year's Kansas team is really starting to make its mark with defense. The Jayhawks won their 16th consecutive game with a 59-55 victory over Kansas State. They held the Wildcats to just 35% shooting, and they won at Bramlage Coliseum for the 23rd time in 25 trips to the Octagon of Doom. Now, let's take a look at those men's standings now through Wednesday's games, and we've got about 1/3 of the way through the conference schedule. And as you can see, there's quite a log jam in the middle of the teams. Those teams that are chasing Kansas are all kind of bunched up. And looking ahead to Saturday, as usual, we've got 5 men's games on the schedule, and that log jam I mentioned might get a little broken up because we've got a couple of teams that are in that log jam playing each other. Kansas State will try to win its 3rd Big 12 road game and try to bounce back from that loss to Kansas when it visits Iowa State. Iowa State and Kansas are the only Big 12 teams without a home loss, so that should be a tough game for the Wildcats. And also, Oklahoma figures to face a big challenge when it goes on the road to face Kansas. Now let's take a look at those women's basketball standings in the Big 12 also through Wednesday's games. And the big game, obviously, looking ahead to Saturday, is going to be at 11 a.m. on FSN when Oklahoma visits Baylor, 2 teams near the top of those standings. Also on Saturday, Kansas hosts Oklahoma State in a battle between 2 of the teams that are kind of trying to break away from the crowd in the middle of the standings. It looks a lot like what we've got with the men's standings on the women's side. And then on Sunday at noon on FSN, TCU visits Texas Tech, and the Lady Raiders are coming off a very impressive 77-73 victory in overtime at West Virginia on Tuesday night. Texas Tech rallied from a 9-point halftime deficit. They're now 5-2 in the Big 12 and 15-4 overall.
Wow, they're having a good year.
They're doing very well, and that was a big win at West Virginia.
That's right. All right, Wendell. Well, like I say every week, we've now come to what I look forward to all week, is the weekly world-famous shout-outs from Wendell Barnhouse himself. So why don't you give us a few of the shout-outs this week?
Yes, despite what we've had in the show so far, this is definitely the highlight, right, as far as you're concerned.
That's
all
right.
Now, first of all, I still got some basketball tidbits and highlights to talk about. On the men's side, heading into this week, the Big 12 had 6 teams ranked in the top 45 of the latest RPI. That equals the most of any conference. Now, in women's basketball, the Big 12 is the only conference with 8 teams in the top 53 of the most recent RPI that was released by the NCAA. Also, in strength of schedule rankings compiled by Collegiate Basketball News, all 10 Big 12 teams are in the top 90 of those rankings. And shout out number 2, we're going to acknowledge some awards that were given out recently. Volleyball Magazine named Haley Eckerman and Bailey Webster of Texas, the NCAA National Championship Texas team. They were named First Team All-Americans for 2012. Eckerman was also named the National Co-Player of the Year. And Keith Jackson, a 2-time All-American tight end at Oklahoma, was one of 6 former student athletes who received the 2012 NCAA Silver Anniversary Award at the recent National Convention. The award recognizes distinguished individuals on the 25th anniversary of the conclusion of their on-field careers. And the last shout out, we want to talk about some things going on in the Big 12 as far as Big 12 social rewards. Now that's going to reward fans for staying connected to the conference and its member institutions through social media. To sign up and for more information, visit big12.socialfanrewards.com and start earning points for interacting with the league and your favorite Big 12 team. Prizes include Big 12 basketball championship tickets, memorabilia, and more.
That's right. Well, that's going to do it for another edition of the Big 12 Report. As a reminder, we will be off next week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. For all things Big 12, be sure to check out our website at big12sports.com and follow us on Twitter at Big 12 Conference. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
I have to do this 5 or 6 times.
I can almost guarantee you this is not going to happen on the first take.
Carter Babb, who's going to start out with a little bit of a, let's do it again, film critic Roger Ebert.
That's right, Wendell.
That's good.
Involves Kansas basketball and
with a bit of a Roger Ebert, the film critic imitation. That's terrible. We're never going to get through this.
And it's actually starring one of the former players, not former players, the current history of Kansas basketball and how the star it takes a look at an important role in Kansas. God, God bless America.
Big 12 championship tickets, memorabilia.
Memorabilia.
I said it, memorabilia. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody
got time for that. Start earning rewards.
Memorabilia.
Memorabilia.